Hello, I'm Doug Hoffer, Vermont State Auditor. In 2014, my office initiated an inquiry into ski area leases of public land. Our goal was to evaluate the return that the public receives from the lease of these unique assets. This video will show several of our findings using maps, satellite imagery, graphs, and video. Let's begin with the basics. The state of Vermont leases roughly 8,500 acres of public land to 7 ski resorts. The earliest leases date back to the 1940s and were intended to help promote and develop outdoor recreational sports in Vermont. The current leases range in length from 50 to 100 years and were designed to help resorts grow on and around state land while generating revenues for state forests and parks. Bromley Mountain Resort was the first ski area to lease land from the state in 1942. The shaded area represents the resort's leasehold, and the purple lines show where chairlifts were located in 2014. The resort currently leases 118 acres of Hapgood State Forest in the town of Peru, which is in Bennington County. Stowe Mountain Resort began leasing land in 1946. The resort currently leases an estimated 1,400 acres of Mount Mansfield State Forest on the eastern side of the state's highest mountain. The resort is located in the Lamoille County towns of Stowe and Cambridge. Okemo Mountain Resort started leasing land from the state in 1955. The resort presently leases 1,223 acres of Okemo State Forest in the towns of Ludlow and Mount Holly. Okemo is therefore located in both Windsor and Rutland counties. Burke Mountain Resort began leasing public land in 1956. The resort leases an estimated 1,000 acres of Darling State Forest in the town of Burke, which is in Caledonia County. Jay Peak started leasing land from the state in 1957. The resort currently leases 845 acres of Jay State Forest in the Orleans County towns of Jay and Westfield. Killington Mountain Resort also began leasing public land in 1957. The resort leases 1,680 acres of Calvin Coolidge State Forest in the Rutland County town of Killington. Smuggler's Notch began its arrangement with the state in 1962. It leases 2,170 acres of Mount Mansfield State Forest, more land than any of the other ski areas. The resort is located in the Lamoille County towns of Cambridge, Morristown, and Stowe. Our investigation of the 7 ski area leases focused on the financial return to the Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation from these unique assets. To evaluate that return, we compared lease payments to measures that reflect economic activity at the resorts, such as excise taxes, sales of goods and services, and property values. We found that revenues from lease payments did not keep pace with these measures. This graph shows that when adjusted for inflation, lease payments declined by 7% over the last 2 decades. When adjusted for inflation, total lease payments from the 7 resorts dropped 4% between 2000 and 2013. Meanwhile, sales of retail goods, meals, alcohol, and rooms all rose. Note that we started with the year 2000 because that was the earliest data available from the tax department. Another measure of the growth of the resorts is property values. A detailed review of property data at the 7 resorts found that while their property values increased by a combined 144% between 2003 and 2013, total lease payments rose by just 11%. Note this analysis does not account for inflation. The increase in property values stems from new real estate such as lodges, hotels, condominium complexes, as well as other facilities that make the resorts attractive to a broader range of visitors in all seasons. Examples include golf courses, performing arts centers, water parks, and adventure courses. Let's look at 2 instances of how resorts have developed over time. This time-lapse of Jay Peak begins in 1999. The shaded area represents where the perimeter of the leasehold is today, not necessarily where it was at that time. Between 1999 and 2003, there was minor development at the base of the mountain. Between 2003 and 2006, the resort developed a golf course and began expanding at the base. By 2014, the base of Jay Peak featured new condominiums, lodges, hotels, an arena, and a water park, among other amenities. This time-lapse of Stowe Mountain Resort begins in 1995. The shaded area represents where the leasehold is presently located. Between 1995 and 2003, the resort began clearing land for new development. Between 2003 and 2006, Stowe developed a new golf course. In the last 10 years, the resort has constructed a new lodge, luxury cabins, and a performing arts center, among other amenities. Let's take a closer look at this development at the base of Mount Mansfield. This vantage point is looking down the mountain at the area where the resort village has taken shape. This video represents only some of the findings in our report. I encourage you to read the report in its entirety at auditor.vermont.gov. Thank you.